Today, what I'm going to do is discuss a little horse racing betting strategy. I'm going to discuss what I think is the simplest and most important thing to know about betting on horses, and that is the concept of an overlay. In just kind of basic terms, an overlay is a horse that offers better value than they should. So betting horses is really pretty simple. You're betting against the public. So if you're smarter than the public on that particular race, or you make a better decision than the vast majority of the public, you make money. When you look at how betting on horses works, because a lot of people don't understand this, even people that go to the racetrack every day don't understand this, and that blows my freaking mind, because this is the simplest thing to understand ever. I like to do just a basic example where I have 10 fake people A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever, I don't know how far 10 is, and they're all betting one individual horse in a 10-horse race. So person A bets horse 1, person B bets horse 2, etc., etc., etc. Each person bets $100 to win, and on each of the 10 horses, making the total betting pool $1,000. If horse 1 wins, person A is the only one holding a winning ticket. So they would win all the money in the pool minus the takeout. The takeout in the win pool is going to be roughly 14 to 18%, depending on where you are in America. So for simplicity's sake, let's say it's 15%. That means $850 out of the $1,000 would be paid out to the winner, and that winning ticket holder would win $850, which basically means every horse in the race would have been 7.5 to 1, because no matter which horse won, one person was going to win $850. And the track, the government, all the entities that be would have kept their share, their $150, to divvy out in their own ways, which I'm not going to get into that complexity because it's irrelevant. So that's all there is to it. The general public is determining the odds on every single horse. So it's not the track that's setting up these odds. It's not one guy in a press box somewhere. It's the other people around you. Now, I've been to racetracks on normal days. A lot of these people, not the brightest individuals in the world, so you would think you could derive an advantage over them by doing a little homework, by doing a little research, and I think that's the case. I really think that's true. I think if you are willing to be patient and do a little homework, that you can have a significant advantage over the general betting public. Because most people that are betting horses, if you watch them bet horses, they are going to bet every single race. They are going to bet 3 different racetracks. I mean, that's what the simulcast era is all about. It's all about action. It's about the guy being able to bet Finger Lakes, being able to bet Belmont, being able to bet them all on the same day, betting Churchill, betting this, betting that, betting Hollywood, betting Beulah. I mean, these guys will sit there and bet every single race. And there's no way you can have done that much handicapping every single day to have a good feeling about that many horses at that many racetracks. It just doesn't happen. I do think there is a little something to be said for betting a whole lot of races just based on some chaos theory type events or just some randomness involved. But, you know, for what I'm trying to do, I would rather limit my spots, bet maybe 4 to 7 races a day, and really kind of pick out the spots I feel I have an advantage. And when I say I feel I have an advantage, what I'm saying is I believe there is a horse that offers greater value than they should in that particular race. So basically what that means is that maybe there's a horse that is 6 to 1 that I think has a 25% chance of winning the race. Because if I think a horse has a 25% chance of winning the race, that means that horse should be 3 to 1. And if it's on the board at 6 or 7 to 1, then if I'm right, if that horse really would win 25% of the time, then in the long run, I'm going to make money. Now, 75% of the time, I'm still going to lose. Maybe even 80% of the time, maybe only 70% of the time. You're never going to be 100% accurate with these numbers because this is, you know, kind of coming down to what your handicapping tells you. So, I mean, you can't have it just dead on. But if you think a horse should be 2 or 3 to 1 and they're on the board at 6 or 7 to 1, that offers a significant opportunity. At the same time, I might love a horse. I might think this horse is going to win this race. But if that horse is on the board at 1 to 5, what are you risking for what you can possibly win? You know, if I think a horse has a 60% chance of winning, but that horse is 1 to 5, then I shouldn't bet the horse. I should not have money on that racehorse because all I'm going to win is 40 cents for every $2 I bet. Now, you do get into the case here where if there's a couple horses that you really like for second, and maybe there's the second and third choice in the race you just don't think will run second, so you like a couple of the other horses, and the exactas are paying way more than they should, then you can start to make cases for, well, this horse is 1 to 5, but I can leverage these chances to make it into a 3 to 1 shot, which in that case you should bet. But at the simplest point, which is what I'm trying to discuss right here, an overlay in the win pool is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to look for horses that I think have a better chance of winning than their odds reflect. So it's pretty simple. The way you do this is if you want to sit down and create a value line, you would go ahead and divvy out 100% to the entire field. So you'd say, okay, I think this horse has a 1% chance. I think this horse has a 5% chance. And these numbers aren't going to be 100% accurate, but this is going to kind of be how you give yourself an idea of what you feel about the race. And I think this is a really good practice. I think this really makes you focus on the horses you really, really like and the horses you're just trying to tell yourself you like. If you don't have enough confidence to establish them as having a greater percentage than the odds would indicate, then you shouldn't be betting those horses. You're just trying to force spots, and we all do it. I mean, I've been guilty of doing that thousands of times, where I bet a horse just because I want to bet them, even when the situation doesn't call for it. And I think everybody does this to an extent. So what I'm advocating right here is patience and waiting for overlays. Let me just explain very quickly how you would derive those odds. If you give a horse a 25% chance, you simply divide 25% by 1, which would give you 4, and then you subtract 1. So that would be 3, which would mean the odds that you would have to bet that horse would be 3 to 1. So it's pretty simple. That's all there is to it. But looking for overlays is the key to betting on horses. That is the one single point that you should get from my talks on betting. What I'm going to talk about is always going to be about value, and this is where value is derived from, is from betting on overlays. If you can consistently spot value, you will consistently win money at the racetrack. That's the whole key. So I hope that makes sense. If anybody has any questions on that, let me know. But that's kind of what you're looking for when you're betting horses, is value and overlays.